Hello, my name is Andrew Khaliqi, and I'm going to be presenting my final project for my Labor Relations class, Business 343, case number 6. I will be acting as the Human Resource Director for Saga Food Services, arguing against John Arnett in his Labor Day pay. Throughout this discussion, I will be showing how John Arnett does not deserve Labor Day pay, a few things I think are important when discussing the grievance procedure, and finally, how to prevent these circumstances from happening again. So let's get started. On the first two slides are a few overview points of the case study that I think were important to note. First, that John Arnett was an employee at Saga Food Services who normally worked 4 10-hour days, Tuesday through Friday. The local representation there was Teamsters Local 444. Labor Day fell on a Monday, so therefore anybody who was off Monday would observe Labor Day on Tuesday. On the next slide, John Arnett on Tuesday called in to take a personal day on Wednesday. He only, though, notified the clerk and not his manager or direct supervisor. Saga managers were normally okay with employees taking impromptu days off as long as they was an hour to an hour and a half before their scheduled work shift. When Saga managers found out that John Arnett took Wednesday off, they decided not to pay him his Labor Day pay, saying that he broke his contract agreements. Therefore, John Arnett and the union filed a grievance against the company. So on the next page, I think are some important steps that I would take as a human resource director in this case. I think that a proper protocol should be conducted, which allows for transparency between the employer to the employee, as well as the reputation of the company. Make sure that nothing negative is coming out about the company. I also think it's important as the HR staff member to make sure you understand everything about this case, from past previous grievances and how they were settled, and just everything about the cases you can know, as well as why John Arnett's motives and actions for taking this impromptu day off. All right, on the next slide, I just briefly describe what the grievance process is and how it can be obtained. It's usually a three-step process. One where the employee writes a complaint to the employer, in which the employer notifies in step 2 of the complaint that the employee is giving and tries to sit down and have a meeting with them to discuss what is happening. If nothing good of that can come, they can enact step 3, in which an employee has the right to an appeal, in which case my job as a human resource director would be to set up a meeting with a third-party neutral audience, which they can discuss the final proceedings of this grievance process. All right, so now we can observe John Arnett's actions. First, he observed Labor Day on Tuesday because he did not work Monday. Second, he called in on Tuesday night to take Wednesday as a personal day, but he did not clear his personal day with his supervisor or manager. After not receiving holiday pay, John Arnett decided to file a grievance with the company. So when handling this situation, it is important to look at the contractual language of the collective bargaining agreement, which states in Article 7, entitled Holidays, Section 7.03b, says the employee shall have worked his full scheduled workday immediately before and immediately after the holiday, except for proven sickness or injury. However, the shift manager may offer to waive this rule in advance of the holiday and acceptance thereof. Also, Article 23, Law Leaves of Absence, states that each present employee will be entitled to 4 personal leave days per contract year. All right, so now we have that in mind, we can look at John Arnett's oversights and how he broke his contract agreement. First, Arnett did not work the day after the holiday, and the agreement says that he must work the day before and the day after. Also, John Arnett did not clarify his personal day with his direct supervisor or manager. He only let the clerk know. And finally, Arnett was not sick or injured. Arnett was entitled to personal days. However, because it was a holiday weekend, different language applied to that agreement. So, my justified reasons on the next slide would be I could prove just cause in this circumstance, which is the requirement that employees be disciplined or discharged only when there is a just cause means that there must be a valid job-related reason for being disciplined or fired. John Arnett clearly did not follow the contract in the language of the law that was set before him. It was very clear cut on what holiday pay entailed and how many days you had to work, as well as a contract agreement would have been very easy for John Arnett to access and look up. And finally, he was not sick or injured, so he could not take that day off as well. And although it was okay usually for employees to take impromptu days off, he needs to clarify that with his manager or a supervisor before doing so. So on the next page, I've included really quickly some options that John Arnett could take when he finds out the verdict of his grievance. He could either just accept the day that he broke the contract and just accept Labor Day without pay, or he is entitled to file an appeal, in which case it would be my opportunity and responsibility to set up a meeting with a neutral third-party audience in which they would define the final verdict of this grievance proceedings. So on this next slide, I think it's important to make sure that this circumstance doesn't happen again. So I would either, one, make sure that employees are notified and knowledgeable on the circumstances regarding holiday pay, as well as making sure that they know the proper channels through which to ask for personal days off, which means asking their manager or their supervisor before just taking the day off. In conclusion, I think it can be found that through procedural guidelines and observation of the Saga Food Service collective bargaining agreement, it can be proven that John Arnett did not follow Section 7.03b pertaining to holiday pay and the proper personal day permission. Therefore, he should not be entitled to his Labor Day pay. On the final slide, you're going to find the references in which I use to conduct this research for this project. Thank you so much.